Earlier this year, I was training for this big running event in my local town. And I remember on this one particular run that I was on, I was pushing up this hill. It was nighttime, and I remember I just started getting these thoughts in my mind telling me to slow down and to not push so hard and to forget about my goal and, oh, it's okay, Luke, you're already up on your time. You can just slow down. You don't have to push so hard. It's all right. And I just started getting these weak thoughts in my head. And I don't know where this came from, but I got this thought in that moment amidst all the other negative thoughts barraging my mind. Something within me started to say, the decisions you make when no one's watching reveal the man that you truly are. And I remember that hit me because I understood that the decisions you make, these crucial little decisions that you make when there's no one pushing you, no one to give you credit, those are the decisions that determine the man that you are. Every single time that you choose to do what is hard, when you say you are going to do that, it's like a vote for the man who becomes stronger, who becomes more disciplined, who becomes someone who can grow. But when you choose to take it easy and you choose to take your foot off the accelerator when there's no one else around you to push you harder, that is like a betrayal to yourself. And when you do that, you no longer can look yourself in the mirror and trust the man that you see looking back at you, because you've let yourself down in those small moments. Whereas on the contrary, when you choose to do those disciplined habits, when you choose to show up and lead yourself rather than need anyone else to do so for you, when you keep the promises that you make to yourself, that is when you can look in the mirror and the man that you see looking back at you, you can smile because you know he is someone who you can rely on. And how do I know this? Because I used to be someone who, I hated who I was. I had such bad mental health and such a low self-esteem because the habits that I did and the actions that I took reinforced to me that I don't care about myself. I'd spend so many hours on the weekend playing video games and eating pizza and just living like a bum. And I wonder why I had such a bad view of myself. I wouldn't follow through on the promises that I would make to myself because I just didn't care enough. I didn't have a deeper reason to push when I said I would. But it was only when I became sick of this life and I wanted to actually start to change. And when I would say something I made sure that I did it and I followed through, even when there was no one to push me to run that run at night, or to wake up early and study before school, or to go and do those heavy sets of squats when I just wanted to take it easy. When there was no one else to push me to do those things, and I still did those anyway, that is when I started to gain my self-respect and my self-esteem back. And it was only after I did those things and I kept the promises that I made to myself, and I stood firm in the values that I have when it was easy to compromise. That is when I was able to look in the mirror and smile, because looking back at me was a man that I could trust. And sure, you may think that this is dramatic, but there's so many men out there today who they can't even trust the man that they see in the mirror, because it's like a friend who betrays you over and over again. Would you trust yourself when you said you would wake up early and you press the snooze button? Or you said that you would quit this bad habit, only to find yourself 2 days later going back to it? When you can't even trust yourself, when you can't even keep the promises that you make to yourself, and you keep betraying yourself on these small decisions that you make just because there's no one else to push you or to keep you accountable, it's when you can no longer trust yourself. That's the real betrayal. When you have this identity, every single area of your life begins to transform. Because when you make these decisions to uplift and to grow and to become better, that is when you will become a more trustworthy friend, a more reliable partner, a more faithful husband, a more caring brother. When you choose to make the hard decision in the moment, that is when you show up as such a reliable person that other people will be able to see that, and they will be able to trust you so much more. But like I said, when you betray yourself and you can't even keep the promises you make to yourself, that seeps into all other areas of your life. And so next time you choose to hit the snooze button, or when it's easier to slow down on that run, when your brain is telling you to just take it easy, instead of slowing down in that moment because there's no one else to push you to run harder, or to get out of bed, or to study when you'd rather just watch YouTube or scroll social media. Just remember that every single decision you make is a vote for the man that you truly want to become. And so you have to be clear in your minds and almost declare to yourself that you are going to become the man who chooses to do the hard decisions, especially when it's easier to compromise. So if you like this video, my channel is built around helping young men to become more masculine. And a big part of the message that I want to get across is that I want to help young men to become men of both strength and honor. Which means that not only do I want to help men to develop that internal strength, that discipline, the courage, the determination, but I also want to help young men to become men who stand firm in principles and values that go beyond themselves. And in this video, I talked a lot about having integrity as a man and having this moral code that you continue to keep yourself accountable and choose to fight even when it's easier to compromise. And so if you like this message, consider subscribing, like the video, comment and tell me what you think, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.